You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Let's discover hardcover month, but it's this enough so you can know what's up in the hood.
75th Street is a unique location. There are a lot of African American owned businesses on 75th Street, unlike a lot of our business districts, which tend to be occupied by people of other cultures. I was very interested in the fact that we had diverse businesses on 75th Street, like there's a shoe shop on 75th Street, the cleaners are still black owned, we have a bakery, we have an art gallery on 75th Street, Soul Vegetarian that's been on my street for 30 years, Lim's Barbecue, 40 years in business. I wanted to be surrounded by people who had been in a business and had lasted and were being successful.
Black-owned businesses are found throughout the U.S., and Chicago just so happens to have the most in the country. Black-owned businesses raked in $137 billion in sales and receipts and made up 7.1% of business nationwide in 2007, compared to 5.2% in 2002. But while that amount has increased from 2007 to now, many black-owned businesses still remain small. And another study in 2007, it shows that the number of black-owned businesses increased by 60.5% to 1.9 million between 2002 and 2007, while the number of other types of businesses increased by 18% in the same time period.
My favorite black-owned business is Harold's Chicken.
From Phenomenal Fitness at 14th and Michigan, it's a gym. There was a yarn shop.
It's called Your School of Beauty. That's one of my favorites that I actually know that's actually black-owned.
My favorite black-owned business is any person that has a business and it's benefiting them as well as their local community and their families.
Probably Leaders, 1354. Have you heard of it? Yeah, that's my buddy.
It's important to me my business is successful is just like I'm interviewing someone, you're interviewing me, just to be an inspiration to the community to know that you can open up your own business, that you can rely on your people to survive and to be able to give something in exchange as well as they're giving to you.
Because they help the community and they give a good dynamics for everybody to to aspire for.
Well, I think that dealing with the economy that we deal with in today's society, I think it is actually promoting more independent black-owned businesses because it's hard to find jobs. And anytime it's hard to find jobs, you get a result of violence, you get a result of crime, people trying to do things that they need to do to try to make it and get by to support their families. So I'm in very much favor of black-owned businesses. I've owned my own business now for about 8 years, as well as being a pastor of a church. So I'm definitely in favor of black-owned businesses.
If we spend money in our community, the money can then be maybe transferred to a person living in the community. If a person lives in the community and they, let's say they improve their home, that improves the block, that improves the property value. If the property value increases, then the resources for the community increase. The streets get paved, the street lights get fixed, the school gets money, the hospital gets money, and all of that economy builds the community. Then we begin to get protection from police, from government, and then we build families and we build a village. And so it is very integral, and unfortunately, most young people, they don't understand that.
We wanted to gather more information and a first-hand perspective from a black business owner, so we headed to Soul Veg to talk to R.L. Israel. Inspired by visions from his dad, Soul Veg opened in 1980, and Israel has owned it since 2001. He was first born in Israel and has been a vegan all of his life.
The challenges of a vegan restaurant, to me it's my way of life. When we started this, the word vegan wasn't even being used. That's why we chose vegetarian, helping us understand business as a community. So that means when you walk in here that you feel proud to spend your money here, and you don't feel like you want to take it out the neighborhood because you feel like that they got bigger lights and it look better and it look more appetizing and it's brighter colors, and that you want to spend your money with those kind of people. So that's really the challenge. The challenge is just educating us as a people on business.
Why is Chicago good for black businesses? I think that when we had that great migration from the South, Chicago was a first stop landing place. One of the really big places where a lot of black people migrated from the South. And I think that Chicago has a lot of black businesses because we had a lot of needs. So people set up businesses to actually satisfy those needs, especially in the times where we weren't having access, full access to other businesses and services. We had to develop mechanisms to service ourselves. And I think Chicago is a great example of that. I think that the best advice I could give a person that aspires to be an entrepreneur is train your mind. Expand your horizons, read. You don't have to be traditionally trained, but you have to be a consistent learner. And you definitely have to be a learner of yourself. You really do have to know yourself, know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are, and play to your strengths. Be aware of what your weaknesses are, but always play to your strengths.
How long have you been in business?
6 years.
6 years?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do before your business opened?
I've been in restaurant business pretty much my whole life, as far as I can remember.
So what inspired you to get into the restaurant business?
I would probably say my grandfather.
Why did you choose a healthy cuisines to make?
Well, I looked at the neighborhood and I saw the things that we was missing, and I just tried to give us something that was a little different. Such a food desert, we don't have too many options as far as healthy choices in meals, so that was our inspiration to put forth the menu that we put at Authentic Cooking. Lunch, just as far as just trying to break into the late night eating, but we just a slow process of doing it because most times people eat late, they want to kind of eat bad.
A local business owner who is concerned with health is Dr. Sheldon T. Caesar, owner of KMT Health Food Store.
I graduated from medical school in 1982, finished my residency in 1985. Then I've been a doctor in terms of private practice for the last 25, it looks like 29 years I've been practicing medicine, where I opened this store 10 years ago, so 2000. So for the most part, the health food store for 10 years, and the practice of medicine, 25, 29 years.
What were you doing before you opened or came in?
Before I opened, I was a medical doctor. I was a medical doctor, still am a medical doctor, but I was more practicing conventional medicine, giving patients prescriptions and also prescribing essentially the traditional treatment of various diseases. But over the last 10 to 12 years, I've been more looking at a more holistic approach to things. So that's why I opened up the health food store, to try to give them an alternative to some of the toxic medications essentially they put into their system. And the medication is not aimed to heal, but to manage the diseases. Why did I open on 75th Street? For the most part, I wanted to essentially work in the community. I wanted to serve the people essentially of my race, okay? Not just to serve the people of my race, but essentially give them products, give them a type of store, type of health food store that they wouldn't experience, okay? Usually on the south side of Chicago. Usually if they would have to get some of the products I have in the store, they would probably have to go downtown or the north side. I think it's an inconvenience, okay, for the people in the community to have to go outside the community to get quality products. The benefits, okay, is being in the community, to help in the community, seeing the store grow in the community, and seeing the store being supported by people who live in the community. The challenges of this business be like the challenge of any other business, essentially letting people know that the store exists, getting quality products, and having people come to the store. The challenges faced here
Grew up in Chicago, Illinois, Green Projects. At first, I was mad because I'm like, that was our hood and how they just gonna knock down our buildings. But they said that was one of the projects that had the most killers, but there's a lot of other projects around there still up and they didn't knock them down yet. But I think the change they did, it was good and it was for the better because the killers decreased and all that. Larry Hoover, he formed the Gangsta Disciples in the Cabrini Green Projects. He just spent, it's everywhere now, you feel me? But that's why they originally started it, the Cabrini Green Projects. Like, it's nothing but Gangsta Disciples over there. So, like, everywhere you go, you seeing gang activity or criminal activity or something like that. You see shooters, them shooting at the police. I saw that a lot. Or stabbings and all that, selling drugs. I think it happens there because that's the slum. If you're in a slum, you're gonna try to make something out of it. It's a lot of people who I saw get shot in my face or get stabbed like right there in my face. And the people who I named, they got shot like in our building. Or I either saw it off the ramp or I saw it at the window, looking at the window. That's what I was around every day. People getting killed and people selling drugs. I was like 12, so I wasn't thinking about selling drugs and nothing like that. But I think if I would have grew older and I was still around the environment, yeah, I think I probably would have been. Like the age I am now, I think I probably would have been doing that. My daddy, he a retired GD. And he got shot at and all that. In them buildings, in them project buildings. He was gang banging hard and all that. He said he wasn't shot none of them times all the times that people shot at him. So he didn't want us to go through that. He know what he went through. So he didn't want his kids to go through that. And he saw, like, as we was growing up, the people who he was hanging around, like the people who he used to hang around when he was little. That's how he got shot at and how he joined the gang. So he didn't want us to live that life. When I was like 10, I always used to want to play basketball. But then my mom was like, it's a greater chance that you might or you might not be a basketball player because that's a career, but it's not like really something that you would get like off, like you go study for and you would just get that job. So she said you always gotta have a backup plan. So I always had a backup plan, and my backup plan was either to draw or if you're doing something else I like.
Englewood started as a rural community in the 1800s. It really grew after the Chicago fire in 1871. Englewood's racial makeup changed radically during the Great Black Migration. Poverty, drugs, and crime took its toll on the community during the last half of the 20th century. Our After School Matters group made a visit to the Greater Englewood Development Corporation located in the U.S. Bank Building at 63rd by Halsted. Chief Financial Officer Tamara Hughes gave our group an explanation of GEDC and what it can do.
Welcome everyone to the Greater Englewood CDC. My name is Tamara Hughes and I am the Program Director for Development. And here at the Greater Englewood CDC, what we do is help and service small businesses, as well as we have a technology program that we help to certify individuals into the technology industry. If you're not aware of Greater Englewood, you can tell kind of from the statistics that show that this is a neighborhood that has a lot of violence and so forth. But there's a good component here at Englewood in the Englewood community, and that is that we have some very creative businesses that have ideas but find sometimes that there's so many obstacles that get in their way, and that's what we're here for, is to help eliminate the obstacles. So we help those businesses move beyond their limitations so that they can excel.
Hi, I'm Akira, and we're standing in Greater Inglewood CDC with Jim Hardman.
Yes.
Hi, how you doing
How you
today?
doing?
Okay.
So how did this organization start?
It's a good question. This organization started back in 2011. 4 individuals who all had full-time jobs actually put together a business plan for this organization. This space that we're in right now is called the Inglewood Accelerator. And what it does is it offers small businesses, and particularly startups, a place where they can get to work, if you will, without necessarily having the cost of a storefront, without necessarily spending money on overhead. We want to keep all that cost down. And then as an accelerator, we would hope that they pour that money back into their business. There's an internal internet system here in which we have business plan templates, marketing plan templates, we have training modules, we have social media strategy. We actually have a calendar for this conference room, and I want to show you guys this.
Look over.
So,
oh, this is it.
What our small businesses get a chance to enjoy is that on that internet portal, as a member, they get a chance to schedule this room, whether they want to do a training, whether they want to hire an employee, whether they want to do a presentation, and they don't have to be here to do it. Because they have that internal internet access, they can do it whether they're here, whether they're at home. They could be on vacation in Cancun and still make that appointment.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, can you explain the room we're in now? Where are we?
We are in our community room that acts also as our training room. So right now we have students from all over Inglewood who are participating in what's called IT Essentials. And the IT Essentials program is a foundational curriculum that allows these young men and women to position themselves to get a global certification through Cisco systems and through Microsoft. So what we're doing is we're giving them exposure to programming and coding, but also to putting together and taking apart computer systems, understanding network and routing systems. We want to make sure that they were getting this broad education in terms of technology. So at the end of this basic foundational training, they have an opportunity to go into advanced certifications in either programming or hardware.
Jim Harding gave us a tour of their offices.
What's so interesting about this building was built back in 1929. It has landmark status. So some of the decor here is absolutely stunning, and I think you guys should need to check out my crib.
Let's check out this place.
By the way, this is Kelsey. This is our chief
Hi, Kelsey.
office
I'm
manager.
Sarah.
You guys met Tamora already. So I just want to make sure you guys see how beautiful this woodwork is in these offices.
This is Tamora's office.
It is absolutely stunning.
This is where she do all her magic.
Yes, it is. And magic is what she does too, by the way. Okay?
I make the money in here.
How you doing?
Oh, pat my back.
So guys, this is our Chief Operating Officer. This is one of our members, and that's our Executive Director, Glenn Fulton.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Akira.
Of course, you guys know that we have a development going on across the street with the Whole Foods Project. And if you take a look over here, you won't get a better shot, I don't think, than this. So right here in the corner is going to be Chipotle and Starbucks. This development started almost a year ago to the day. And it has the community very, very excited. So you guys should have a sense now of what we do. It's primarily 3 things. We are focused on small business development. We're focused on small business retention, and we're focused on workforce development as it pertains to having young men and women be exposed to a growing industry. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jim says Inglewood is starting a new era. Looking at all this construction going on, it is hard to argue with him at that point.
Aaron Michael Newman was an R&B singer who performed at Sammy's, a segregated club in downtown Chicago. Aaron was very underpaid. He barely made enough to feed his family. Since Sammy's was segregated, he could perform, but he couldn't watch any of the other acts.
Oh, I wasn't gonna touch my dabble. You was right there when you fell. Yeah. You was right there when you.
Nah, girl, he even called me back. No, because I told him, if he ain't got no money, don't call me.
Putting left for walk about.
Thank you, y'all. I thought you taping it.
Like, you go for it.
I'm Ria. I'm a TCA member at the Museum of Contemporary Art.
My name is Kamari and I work at the MCA.
The paintings mean this sort of like representation for people who are unrepresented overall, like in the world, to be sort of like put on this like, not pedestal, but it's equating like black bodies with this idea that like white bodies were above that, but by putting black bodies as the center and making them so dark and making every painting so dark, it's saying that like at that point that it's an equal and that it can be represented in the same ways that white people have traditionally been represented within paintings. It's like equaling the playing field, which is very important for a place like Chicago where there is a lot of brown bodies, and putting that like at the center is like very imperative.
They don't necessarily all connect, because I know you guys probably have seen the one where there's like a big comic strip that has something to do with Chicago and how it was all broken up into different sections. That's kind of what connects everything to itself, meaning the entire exhibit. So I know one part of it's called The Master. That's what you see in the front of the museum, and that connects, I think, like 1/4 of the actual exhibit itself. But they all kind of connect back to where black bodies are at a higher pedestal, where they really aren't now. Like they're putting black bodies where kind of white bodies are now, in a sense. So it kind of connects to that all around.